everyone. My name is Sam Burnett, and I am doing my IB presentation on the proposal to update technical stagehand 2 training. This training will take place at Illinois State University, which specifically at Braden Auditorium and the Bone Student Center. This training will take place specifically at Illinois State University at Braden Auditorium / the Bone Student Center, as that is our purview. And it is over a student stagehand position, who can be defined as a college student with typically no or little experience in the theater world and is hired by myself and my coworkers to perform audio, visual, and lighting tasks. Generally, they are undergraduates, but they are not typically theater majors or creative tech majors at ISU, but they can be. But you may be asking yourself, what is a stagehand? So on your screen, this is a picture of a setup we did in Braden Auditorium for College of Engineering's Build Their Stage, which is like a YouTube TED Talk kind of situation. A stagehand is the person who sets all this up. So anytime you go to a concert, anytime you go to an arena show, any larger event of that nature, there is probably many stagehands behind that work. This event took 2 days and like 10 stagehands, I think. Luckily, this was a smaller scale event, and my boss and I did all the rigging, so we didn't have to call a union. But for the student purview, we did the lighting, the truss, which is the circle part that you see up in the sky. We helped with the video walls, which you can see kind of going up, the audio, which you don't necessarily see, but you definitely hear, and you can definitely tell when it's going wrong. So during COVID, we lost a lot of staff, full-time and student staff. A lot of them either quit or graduated or just left altogether. This left us a large knowledge gap. The student center was also renovated during this time between 2019 and 2021. We added a whole new addition to the building, a whole new room, and it left a lot of our rental spaces completely changed to how our audiovisual technical equipment operates. We also got some new equipment that we have not yet incorporated into our training. Historically, this has not been as big of an issue because our equipment has stayed pretty much the same throughout the years. The Bone Student Center opened up in 1973, and we, for the most part, have been fairly steady. The things that change, lighting, for instance, we use ETC, which is Electronic Theater Arts. They tend to build on each other. So if we do get a new lighting program board, it builds on the previous generation. So while there is new training in there, if you have knowledge of the last board, you typically are fairly well set. So a lot of this is passing of knowledge happens by word of mouth. It goes from generation to generation. And very little formal training has been written down accurately. We have some training documentation, but it is very rarely updated, whether that be due to time or just pure lack of updating. My learner analysis, like I said, this takes place at the Bone Student Center / Braden Auditorium, which is attached to the Bone Student Center, at Illinois State University in Normal, Illinois. ISU is a large state school, 21,000 plus students, which is comparable to NIU. But we are definitely an undergraduate institution with 160 plus majors. The current staffing at production services is kind of, I have put in our hierarchy. So as you can see, our technical stagehand 2 position, which is our lowest student position and our lowest position in the production hierarchy, we currently have 9 students. We typically like to have 25 to 30 between class schedules We do have assistant stage managers, which is also a student position, but it is a managerial role. You do have to be a student stagehand before you can be in this role. So we hire internally for this. We currently have 8. Our target is 10. Assistant technical directors. This is our lowest full-time staff. They are civil service non-exempt, so they're hourly. We currently have 1. We should have 2, but we are currently under a hiring freeze. Associate technical director. This is actually my position. It's full-time, exempt, so I'm salaried. And then above me is our technical director, and they are full-time, salaried, and we only ever have 1 technical director. We do plan on hiring new stagehands very soon. I was just given the okay to go ahead and post our stagehand posting as well as our ASM posting. So that will be happening in the coming weeks. So we'll be hiring quite a lot of students, which brings us to the task at hand. So I've kind of broken down our tasks that are the main goals of what we need to accomplish with this training. Objective 1 being navigating the Bone Student Center and the operating spaces of production. Objective 2, recall and operate under the expectations policies listed in the department expectations, events management, dining and hospitality handbook, and the university policies. Objective 3, our stagehands need to be able to operate our equipment under the help of our assistant stage managers, who typically help them set up equipment in the rooms and strike. Objective 4, understand and identify equipment that is used within the department and know its storage locations. So what have I identified as the biggest problem? Objective 4. We have very much struggled with understanding and identifying the equipment that is used within the department and knowing its storage location. This has been a problem for a long time. Since I was a student in production, I started as a student stagehand in 2018, this spring. I was promoted in September of 2018 to the stage ASM. And then I was promoted full-time in 2021 to assistant technical director, and I actually just got associate TD in February. So I have kind of worked my way up. I have seen these problems from a lot of different perspectives. This one is definitely the most prevalent and will kind of domino affect the rest of them. So my design overview is to organize. So some equipment is currently unlabeled and it's very hard for students to find. And part of this is also labeling the rooms that things are stored in and having a map on the walls of where our equipment goes. To clarify what some equipment is, it's vague, its descriptions have multiple meanings. To simplify, so cut back what is taught when. Our training is very robust, which is helpful. But when our training time is very short, it can be hard for them to retain what really matters. So part of this whole design is targeting in on what stagehands definitely need to know before their first shift so they can be successful as a stagehand. And then to gamify. The overall goal of this is to create a scavenger hunt to help foster community. Unfortunately, a lot of the prep work is to organize and clarify, but the ultimate goal is to gamify. So I'm using a constructivist approach with Bandura's social learning theory, or better known as observation and imitation. We have a little bit of this in place. We learn by doing. We typically have the stage managers set up the equipment with the stagehand and then make them set it up so they can learn more effectively. This whole solution starts with a refresher and a 2-hour tour of the building. Every single one of our employees starts with this. However, a lot of people I don't think got the most helpful tour. So I personally will be giving the tour for the building because I have been there the longest. So I will be giving the tour. And then the overall goal is to design and complete the scavenger hunt. And this will be a group activity to help foster community because our students don't often see each other. A lot of times they're just working solo. So it will be in groups with at least one returning stagehand and one ASM. So they have people with experience that they can fall back on and ask questions. So within my development plan, Uh, the main part is to organize. So myself, my student managers, and my coworkers will relabel and organize everything. The managerial staff will help maintain this, that being the ASMs, myself, and my coworker as well. And then off to the right, I mentioned briefly earlier that we want to make room maps for all of the rooms we keep equipment in. They will look something similar to what this picture is. This picture is actually a room diagram for academic senate setup, which we do every other week. So it'll look something similar to this because this is a format they're used to seeing. So the materials needed, black and white spray paint, which we have some, but we'll probably need more. We can get that at Ace Hardware for just under $10. We will probably need at least 2 cans. My boss will probably go get that. We'll need 2-inch stencils to stencil on the road case tops what the equipment is. We have these, we use them all the time. We'll need painter's tape to secure the stencils. We will need a label maker for the smaller equipment to label remotes to what they go to, things like cases that are kind of ambiguous and don't really fit anything else, because a lot of our stuff is smaller now that technology has advanced, which is very nice. We're going to use a Cricut machine, which I am personally using mine and my own vinyl that I am donating. Label the rooms and label anything else we see fit. So this scavenger hunt, what this will be is very much a clue-based scavenger hunt. So they will get a piece of paper and I will create clues and hide them in the appropriate places throughout equipment storage locations and the building, and give them the sheet with everything on it. For example, one clue could be I have 3 locations and need to be flipped anytime student manager tells us it's okay. They would know I am talking about the fire bypass signs. Anytime we use haze or fog, we need to go into bypass. So we have signs we flip to tell everyone that our fire alarms on Braden are off. So things of that nature. And then built into this will also be ways for them to set up the equipment and then ways to check. Also, the value of in-person learning instruction is there's less distraction from phones, there's ability to easily ask questions, there's less room for misunderstandings, and there's just more interactions between colleagues. So what's my implementation timeline? I'm looking at about 11 weeks for implementation. The first 6 weeks are just reorganizing rooms. So I have it broken down by rooms. The first 3 weeks will be down in our basement area. Then week 4 and 5 will be working in the auditorium and the basement below, where we store a lot of our larger, less used equipment. We can even probably in this area surplus, which means to get rid of, but since we work for the state, we can't get rid of anything. We have to have somebody come get rid of it for us. And then week 6, we'll work on our rental spaces where we don't really store a lot of equipment, so it will work and be very quick. So then in week 7 and 9, I'll be working on scavenger hunt questions with my coworker. We'll be updating. Week 10, we'll be testing and updating. We will have some student managers in the building this summer, even though we are typically a pretty student-free campus over the summer. But they will help us test things out. And then week 11 will be the implementation, because that will put us right about at August, where all of our students come back. The evaluation plan, I am using Patty plus M. This is going to be success based on managerial feedback. So the reason I'm using Patty M is due to the nature of the work. So if you don't know, you can see the graphic along the side, but it stands for planning, analyze, design and develop, implement, evaluation, and then the M is maintenance, which is the part we tend to lack on. How will I collect feedback? So I typically get a lot of feedback with Microsoft Forms. Verbally, I'm very close with a lot of my students. They come talk to me if they need anything. So I feel that this is a one of the better ways to get feedback, as I know they will be open and honest with me. I have also started incorporating Nearpod with my stage managers in our meetings. So I'm hoping that maybe they'll give me some feedback on that. So the maintenance plan is weekly inventory checks and ASM follow-ups. Um, these weekly inventory checks will be inventory sheets, physical pieces of paper in every single room that we have just gone through and reorganized, and they will be placed in these rooms, and our student managers will have to go through every week and initial that they have checked this room and made sure that everything is where it says it should be. And then every week during the school year, we typically have ASM meetings and we'll follow up during that meeting. And then every year before we do a scavenger hunt, we will take suggestions, obviously, but then also make updates to the scavenger hunt based on what we see people are struggling with. So students who were struggling with setting up wireless microphones, but are now really excelling at it, might now be struggling with telling the difference between two microphones. So we might switch out a clue to help alleviate that issue. And that's my presentation. So thank you very much for listening. And I'm going to put up my references. I do have them split into two. So first will be my academic references, and then I will put all my references after that.